Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It's Tuesday, September 24th, and it is an exciting day here at Jill on Moneyland because tonight is our next live webinar. Mark, how late can people sign up for the webinar? In other words, if someone wants to plunk down $35, what's the cutoff time so that they can get in for tonight's 7 o'clock Eastern super duper real estate extravaganza?
I mean, I will send out the final reminder email with all the details probably around like 5 p.m. Eastern tonight.
So, but you want to make sure that everyone, whoever is joining and has joined, we got to give them a cutoff time because otherwise, they might let it go till 4. So like 2 p.m., 2 Eastern, 12 Eastern. When do you want?
Yeah, I mean, they can sign up at 4:45. That
You're
email's
kidding
going
me.
out at 5. So.
All right. So you've got until 4:45 Eastern time tonight to plunk down your $35. Again, that $35 is not just for tonight. That is $35 for tonight's special real estate webinar with a realtor from Chicago named Tim Mullett and an amazing mortgage broker named Mike Ramey. He's from Michigan. We're doing a Midwestern thing, Mark. It should balance our coastal aesthetic. Anyway, they're going to be joining us. It's going to be a deep dive into what's going on in real estate, tips for buyers, tips for sellers, refis, everything. And we'll be able to do that with you tonight. And then you'll get 3 more of those. You can check out our back catalog. You will see bonus video content. It's all great. $35, Jill on Money Live, and we'd love to have you. Also on the website. Hey, Mark, should I stop shilling for the book? I mean, I feel like the book's been out for a while. Should I stop shilling for it or should I keep doing it?
It's your book.
I know it, but it's not like the publisher's listening or anything. Anyway, you can buy my book, The Great Money Reset, but you can, more importantly, sign up for our free weekly newsletter because Mark works hard on that. I mean, all the book work is done already. So yeah, it's nice, but free is also really good. So the free weekly newsletter comes out every single Friday. All right, I think it's time to do some emails. Number one, here is a question from a Mark, not you, Mark, but another Mark. And the subject is 457 investment options. And so here is the question. Hi, Jill and Mark. My amazing wife got me listening to you two a couple of months ago. Thank goodness for the spouses, Mark. I have noticed that we have some spousal turning on of each other with a little, sexy financial show. Yeah. Okay. Here's what Mark writes. He says, she has a passion for finances, his wife, and wanted me to be more involved in our retirement planning. I've learned a lot, and the show has helped us have some fruitful discussions. Now, she isn't ready to call into the show yet. I'm working on it. They live in the Pacific Northwest. He is 46. She is 47. They make $250,000 a year together in government jobs. Very stable. They will both have pensions. I knew you'd like that. And they also have 457 deferred compensation accounts. Now, currently, Mark writes, I have around $200,000 in mine, $150,000 in traditional, $50,000 in Roth. And hers is about the same. We will be maxing both of these out in February. Now, all the new money is going into the Roth, and they will continue all future 457 contributions into the Roth. He says, I will be retiring and pulling my pension in about 7 years, but I will continue to work for 5 years or so after that. We both will be fully retiring around the age of 60. We are working on building our emergency fund. It's our weak link at the moment. Okay, here's the question. With the plan to continue investing in our 457s for 12 to 15 years, how should I diversify my money? I have a list of the options within the 457. I don't know how to split it up. Can I send you a list and get your input on how you would diversify it with these options? Our 457 is through Mission Square, which shows a lot of Vanguard funds, a T. Rowe Price large cap growth, and some mid cap plans. There's also Target Date and Federal Money Market and Bond Index. Working on getting all the documents done. Okay, thanks. And let me know if I can email you the list of plan options. So yes, you can, but you don't even need to. When you've got this massive laundry list of investment options, I want everyone to be thinking fewer, not more. So the way you can kind of focus on this is to say, I want a stock market index fund. I want a international stock index fund, and I want a bond index fund. Now, I know some other plans, you might have other ones. Mark, do you care about putting a small cap or a mid cap in there?
I personally do not care. No.
I don't really care either. I mean, you could put a few percentage, maybe up to 5% in a commodities index fund, but the most important part is index fund. And don't double down, because what we often will hear about from folks is that you have a plan, you've got a large cap, a mid cap, a small cap, like, okay, just one. It's okay. Even if it's just an S&P 500, it's okay. And what we would really recommend for you is to not mess around with your allocation based on what the market's doing, but you can just do a little bit of rebalancing every year. So feel free to send us the list. I can almost guarantee I know what I would have that allocation look like if I were to have it in my hands right now. And it's just, Mark, I have to say, so often people just make it way, way more complicated than they need to. And it doesn't have to be that complicated.
They just don't know. I mean, before I became interested in this and figured out what I was doing, when I first met you, once a year, I'd have you pick out all my 401k stuff because I just didn't know. And that's how most people are.
And then you fired me. You're like, you suck.
Yeah. Bye-bye. And your fee was way too high.
Way, way, way too high, which was just putting up with me. Okay. This is from Michael, who has a question, and the subject is job change asset allocation question. Okay. Jill and Mark, love the show. Thanks in advance for answering my question. Okay. I need some help with a little bit of a mess, not a bad one we find ourselves in. 3 questions, and I hope you can help me out. Here's a quick rundown of where we sit. 401k, $815,000, $270,000 in a Roth, brokerage account, $330,000, cash, holy smokes, $980,000. That's a lot of cash, to be honest. The house is $1 million. It's got $585,000 in equity. So, all right, it's got a mortgage. Most of the money is in an index fund mix of small, medium, large tech value and a small portion in international. This is exactly the problem I want you guys to all avoid, but okay. So Michael is 45 years old, married, 2 kids who are 17 and 15, going to pay for college out of cash flow. Question 1 is, what do we do with the cash that's earning roughly 5% right now? I sold some investments. I never put it back in the market with interest rates where they were and feeling the market is high. And yes, I know timing the market is not possible. Okay. I like to get it into the market, and I know time in the market is better than time out of the market. Would you dollar cost average or just go in with 80% of the cash right now? Okay. Second question. I'm going to get back to this. So the second question is, are we in good position for the future once we get our allocation right? And 3, I'm considering changing jobs. Right now I make $400,000 a year. If I make the switch, income will fall from 400 to, let's call it 320 to 340. Let's say 320. But I'll have more control and be happier. That sounds much better. Lifestyle would not be impacted. Savings rate would. I do think we have set ourselves up for the future and how we've saved thus far, and I should be okay. Just wanted to get your opinion. Do I stay in a job that I've lost my passion for due to money, or do I go somewhere else for less money but more happiness? Okay. Can I start with number 3? We go for happiness, my friends. Yeah. We go for happiness all day long.
Especially when it's maybe just $60,000 difference.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's 80,000.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. We're not going to make, so no, do not stay in this job just for the money. So in terms of your position for the future, you left out a critical issue, and that is, how much money do you guys spend? Because the allocation could be right, and it's okay to even have some cash, but like having obviously almost $1 million in cash is silly. So it looks like you're in great shape, but it depends a lot on how much you spend and what your future plans are. I'm not so sure about this idea about the 2 boys and paying it out of cash flow. Why wouldn't you just open up a 529 account and dump some money in right now? And therefore, the money that's sitting in your cash account, you don't have to worry about. You can just like start putting more money into brokerage. Like you get the money invested, but it'll be a protected tax advantage account for the 17 and 15-year-old. I don't know. I think I would do that right now. And then for the brokerage, investment of the rest of the money. You leave yourself enough cash that's like a normal amount of cash, your emergency reserve. I mean, you tell me, what kind of person are you? Are you going to like gnash your teeth if the market plummets right after you do this? Do you feel just more in control of it if you put $100,000 a month in for the next 6 months? It's up to you. What would you do, Mark? Would you just pop it all in at once?
I would personally do it all at once, and I have a feeling that this guy is 100% stocks.
I have a feeling that's true also. In the brokerage account, you mean?
I think everywhere.
100% in stocks.
That's
guess. An interesting question then. So we don't know exactly where you live. I'd love to hear more from you, Michael, if even if you just follow up. We want to know what state you live in, what's the tax bracket, and also maybe we could even help you. Maybe there would be an interesting idea here where you would throw a bunch of money into the brokerage account and buy some bonds, which have not gone up by as much. And so I would be much, because it's funny, you're right, Mark. I read this, the index funds, small, medium, large tech, value, and a small portion in international. Like, I don't see any bonds. And also, is any of the money that you have in that brokerage account, any losses in there? Should we just clean this up for once and for all? I'd like to know more. You seem like you're in very good shape, though. You really do. I do think that the guy was in cash for all this time. So I feel a little bit like if he goes all in now and he gets smoked, then that'll just like freak him out. So I'd love to hear more about you. And, that would be an important piece of this, is kind of how you feel. Okay, this is from OT, who writes, our investment funds are managed by a large brokerage firm. They take a little less than 1%. Other than an annual review, we don't get anything from them at all. Our 10-year gain is 10%. You mean 10% a year? Or 10% overall? Wow. And so he goes on to say, it looks to me like the market gain for 10 years is 12%, meaning I think that's annualized. Okay, so 10 versus 12. So number one is, are you 100% in stocks? Because the market gain is different than your portfolio. If you're a balanced investor and you've gotten a lower return than the overall stock market index that you're comparing yourself to, then no kidding, right? Because you're taking less risk. Now, it's a separate question about firing the advisor and managing it yourself. I think that if you have the mindset to do that, it's great. What OT goes on to say is, we have an account with Schwab. We're planning on putting all of our money there. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Schwab has doesn't Schwab have a robo, Mark? It is called the Schwab Intelligent Portfolio. And you may want to check that out, OT, if just because it might be an interim step if you don't want to do it all on your own. And I think it's less than a half a percentage point a year. I think it might be like 30 or 40 basis points. And you could move all the money there and see what they come up with. Otherwise, what I would say is just like we were talking about before, which is pick a few index funds and go to sleep at night and don't overthink anything else. Okay. So again, everyone listening, if you're feeling like you want to fire your advisor, make sure that you're firing the person for the right reason. Do not fire somebody for delivering you a lower rate of return than the market if you are a balanced investor. But do fire somebody if all they're doing is managing your money, taking a big fee, and not paying any attention to you. Okay? All right. Now, this is a message from Jason, who recently came across the video for the segment I did on CBS Evening News. Okay? And it was about people who have to go to work because of necessity. So Jason writes, as a 45-year-old man with decent savings, but certainly always a concern about retirement age, I can't help but feel bad for people you interviewed and beyond. That said, how about some reasonable perspective? Governments and policies usually didn't do these people wrong. Or if they did, how about some more perspective? I mean, I don't think we suggested in that piece that the government did anything wrong. We just said they are where they are. I didn't point the finger about who's that it was someone's problem. I just said that the retirement system in the United States shifted dramatically, right? From when you had pensions to being forced to do it yourself through the 401k. Okay. Yes, we must worry about health care, but when you're talking to people in their late 60s and beyond, they have a mortgage and a car payment. They didn't do things well. They were naive at best and ridiculously optimistic at worst. It's so judgy, Mark. So this is what Jason goes on to write. Stories of financial awareness can be handy. And I think you begin to make some decent points about 401k and education, about other work-based retirement accounts. But from that story, what you've got is people who failed to prepare. And we all know what that means. Best, Jason in Cincinnati. So Mark, what do you think about that? You saw the piece.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that wasn't the only email like that we received. It kind of irked people, I guess, because that was the general theme. Well, they clearly didn't save. What were they doing? They were working. Where was their money going? Blah, 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 blah.
I thought so to me, the most interesting soundbite from that whole interview that I did, and this is this nice, lovely couple in Tampa. Because look, I'm judgy too, gang, of course. But like, I take my judgmental hat off and I listen to what they're saying. And I think that all we're doing is we're raising an issue. We're raising an issue that there are a lot of people like this, and they're not all deadbeats. They didn't just make dumb decisions. But when he said, I grew up on a farm, no one ever taught me about this. That's what really resonated with me. I get it. Like, people are like, oh my God, they should have done more. Yes, of course they should have done more. Yes, they should. But they own that. They owned their mistakes.
The one thing I was wondering as I watched that piece, and I didn't really know, like, had they saved and they rated their accounts, or did they just never really know about saving?
No, they actually did save. They were forced to take money out of their accounts. They basically kind of sucked their accounts dry, and they made some dumb decisions, just like we all do. Like, I almost feel like people are so oddly judgmental about these things. Do we judge half of the population that makes the wrong choice in a spouse? Do we judge that? Like, oh, why'd you do that? You should have seen it. Like, there's a lot of dumb things we all do, right? And certainly with money, there's a lot of dumb things we all do. So all that we're trying to do in this series, Jason, and I appreciate it. Look, gang, I get it. Because the first thing I did was I looked at these people and I saw that balance sheet and I was like, oh, this is a blank show, But, I also felt like, as I really heard their story and I listened to the choices they made at every step of the way, they thought they were making a choice that was better for them. They know they screwed up, and now they're, they're kind of plugging away. So I get that that people are not happy about it, and I get that people feel angry about these things. I'm just sort of interested in the story. That's what I'm interested in. And it can't be that we're all so judgmental, because frankly, there's too many people like this. So we're going to judge all these people who are like neighbors of ours. I don't know. That's not nice. I can judge other things, but not that. Make some bad decisions. We all do. Okay. So with that said, feel free to send more feedback. And I'm not taking it like, I'm not angry about it. I get that. I knew that was a risk. And so did Trixie. All right. That's it. That is the program. And we are so delighted that you join us every day. If you've got a question or you have feedback on anything that's going on here, just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and check the box if you'd like to come on the air live. I cannot wait for our big webinar tonight. So see you all at Jill on Money Live later this evening. You can subscribe to us on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your favorite podcast. Lift someone up, change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.